Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cloud9 Blessings. This is Amber, and I hope that you are all having a very beautiful and blessed week. Thank you all so much for joining me here on the channel. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell so that you are constantly notified when new content is added to the channel weekly. In this video, you are going to experience a heavenly encounter that our brother in Christ shares of his young daughter who had an amazing experience being in heaven. In his email, it says, "My daughter Avery had an amazing heavenly experience in May of 2019. First, let me start by telling you how I was led to ask Avery, and only Avery of our 9 children. Avery was 7, almost 8 years at the time. She is now 9. I own a commercial janitorial cleaning company, so most of my hours consist of nighttime driving from large cities to small cities to our clients, spread throughout different counties here in Texas. I am driving late one night, probably around 2 a.m., and I'm praying. I do a lot of praying. I listen to sermons or even listen to home at 6:30 a.m. I could hear the children getting ready for school. When I turned the corner from the laundry room going into the dining room, Avery was sitting at the dining table all by herself, eating her breakfast, like she goes every time, and she says, "Good morning, Daddy," and then she demands a kiss. So I quickly grabbed a bowl of cereal and sat down with her, like a kid sitting down with a bag of popcorn ready to watch a Toy Story movie. I said, "Avery, can I ask you something?" "Yes, Daddy," she said. "Have you ever met Jesus?" With excitement, she said, "Yes, I have." She proceeded and said, "I am glad you asked because I almost forgot about it." She then says, "I was 4 years old when I met Jesus while I was sleeping. I tried to tell you." Then she had to hurry off to catch the school bus. As she left, I couldn't help but remember that she did try to tell me that she met Jesus. I remember being really busy, and I remember her saying to me one day, "Hey, Daddy, did you know I met Jesus?" "Oh, really? That's great, honey," as I went on about whatever busy task I was doing at the time. My oldest daughter, Addison, was standing nearby and said she remembers Avery saying the same thing to her, but Addison blew it off as just kid talk. Several days go by, and I'm eating lunch with Avery, and I ask her, "Avery, what did Jesus look like?" She stood up from her chair so she could show me with her hand motions. She said he was tall, and that he had a bright white robe on with a golden sash on the front of his shoulder down to his hip. She said the heavenly place she was had light coming from it. All things, trees, flowers, and grass had light coming from within it. It was the most beautiful place she had ever seen. As she sat back down to eat her lunch, she quickly jumped back up and said, "Oh yeah, Daddy, I saw Jesus again last night." With overwhelming excitement, I asked, "Was Jesus wearing the same white robe and golden sash?" She said, "No, Dad. This time he was wearing older-looking clothes with a rope for a belt around his waist." I was thinking this could have been his carpenter clothes or old Jewish clothing. I asked, "Did Jesus say anything to you?" What she said next confirmed that it was an out-of-body experience because she doesn't use certain words or phrases to express what she is saying. She said, "Jesus was teaching me on how to not be rude and not to lie." I said, "Really?" I was overwhelmed again, and I asked, "Did Jesus have a message for me?" Avery then stood up from her chair, walked over to me, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Yes, he does, Dad. He said that you need to be nice to the bad people." Indeed, she was correct, because I had issues forgiving people, and I would get angry at people who did me wrong. She then continued to tell me about the rest of her experience. She was asleep, and she said she woke up and was being lifted up from her bed and could see everyone sleeping. As she was rising up in the air, she said she was afraid of heights, as she had always been afraid of heights. But as soon as she said afraid, she said someone was beside her and she wasn't afraid anymore. She said they quickly went into the sky towards the universe. She said, "Dad, I turned back and saw the earth and it was so beautiful." She said she passed all the planets, including Pluto. Then she said she came to this space of extreme bright light, which she described as the most beautiful place with so many colors, more colors than the rainbow, she said. Over the next week, Avery would remember bits and pieces and would come and tell me. This one instance, Avery started by saying Jackson, our oldest, was so happy that I was born, which led her mother and I to ask her what did she mean or how did she know that since she was the one being born. She said that when Jesus appeared to her the second time, she said Jesus showed her her whole life from the time she was born to the present. She said that's when she saw her mom in the bathtub giving birth to a baby, and she said she remembers Jackson being so happy. Then Avery laughed and realized that it was her being born. She then said Jesus called in some of our favorite pets that had died over the years. She said there were so many animals. Her mother and I laughed because she had so many animals over the years. She saw our Trace, our black Labrador, and our pot-bellied pigs, which she said she went up to and hugged. She then said Jesus called out, "Okay, let's bring in the family members." As our family members who had passed away over the years walked in, she said this one lady walked up to me and said, "Hi." Avery then asked, "Who are you?" The lady said, "I am your Aunt Callie, and I want you to tell your daddy and his brothers and your nanny and papa, who are my mom and my dad, that I love them very much. You see, my sister died when she was 3 months old. I was only 50 months old when she passed away in 1974. Avery tears up every time she tells me this. Avery said she looks like her older brother Jackson, but with long blonde hair. Avery also met her siblings, who my wife and I had miscarriages. Avery described their age, and which perfectly fits when my wife miscarried. One older girl and a younger boy. She also met my wife's grandparents, who my wife never met. Avery said there were a lot of family members she didn't even know, including this one really short lady. My wife and I laughed because it had to have been my wife's great-grandmother. A few weeks later, Avery was sitting by herself in the driveway and she was making these crosses out of little skewer sticks. My wife saw Avery holding one of the crosses she had made and noticed she was looking into the sky with her eyes that were full of tears. My wife asked if she was okay. She calmly said, "I miss heaven and I want to go back and see Jesus. I miss him." I really hope that this blesses someone today. Much love, your brother in Christ. Thank you so much, brother, for emailing in this amazing experience that your daughter had. It was absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Avery, as well. And I want to thank everyone who took the time to watch this video today. We truly hope that it blesses each and every one of you. Thank you all so much, and God bless.